do a quick review of making a bar chart. So if we're going to make a bar graph for this data, let's say it's your favorite colors. 47 children said red, 28 said orange, 20 said green, 34 said blue. So what I need to do is I need to set up my bar graph. And a couple things to remember on my bar graph. So for example, when we have our bar graph ready to go, so we're going to have our title, favorite colors. We would have our labels. So this is going to be favorite, number of favorite students here. That's what these numbers are. And then down here is our categories. So we have colors. And then we have each of the colors. We have red, orange, green, and blue. A couple of other important things. Notice there's space between each of the bars. I don't come all the way over to the x-axis. I leave that space in there. I make them the same distance. Notice they're all 1 block wide. Okay, I could have made them all 2 blocks wide. I could have made them all 5 blocks wide, but they all need to be the same width. The difference is going to obviously be in the height. Then I fill them in, giving them as neatly as possible. Now, one thing I do want to point out on this particular graph is all of this white space up here. There's a lot of white space. I have a lot more room where I could fill in more graph. So how do I change that? To change that, I need to change my scale. I counted by tens here. But what I want to make sure I do is that I count by or have my scale be something useful. So obviously counting by tens, if the highest number is 47, I don't need my graph to go to 110. I need my graph really to go to 50 or 60. So I'm not going to use this. I'm going to get rid of that scale. I'm going to cover that up. And look, what if I use this scale? And now, what if I count by fives? Well, no longer is this 47. Notice 47 is way up here now. So I need to get rid of this. And now I need to redo my 47. So my 47 is going to be all the way up here. Oh, that was actually a little too high. Now 47 is right in between 45 and 50, so I'm going to split this one in half. Fill this in. I'll go back and fill that in a moment. And then here, my orange. Well, my orange was 28, so now I want it to be 28. Well, 28 is going to be up here. There's a little bit more than halfway here, so now I'm going to fill in my 28. My green, which is 20, no longer is just going to be like so. My green is 20, it'll be up here. And then finally, my blue, which is 34. 34 is going to be almost touching 35. Just getting pretty close. So notice I don't have to have the exact number on my scale. I can get pretty close to it. And then the last thing I need to make sure I do is I need to fill in my rectangles. So now I have all of my bars nicely drawn in. Fill in that little space here. So now I have my new graph. And notice that this graph, I have much less empty space up here. Still have my title, my scale, and so on. It's the same data. So this graph here is a little bit easier and more useful to read.